Welcome to Financial Ginger. I am the Ginger, Jacob Johnson, the insurance agent that's known for answering his phone. And talking about answering phones, today I am very, very excited. We're talking to Andrew Reeve, the owner of Royalty Auto Glass. He is my favorite glass guy, rock chip guy in the state. I cannot say how awesome he is enough. He's done replacements on my Tesla, on my Prius, on every car I've ever owned, my wife's car. Love this guy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. And honestly, I'm here to give you a running for the title of the Ginger,
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
I keep it covered, but you get a lot of that.
It's great.
That
What's the longest you've ever had your beard?
Whew, I've had my beard down past my chest.
We ask the hard questions on Financial Ginger.
Yes, the most important questions.
Dang, all the way down?
Yeah, I had it down to my chest.
Oh my gosh.
I stopped traffic at times, people just to tell me how impressed they were with my beard.
That's awesome.
So, but it gets a lot to maintain, And,
yeah, that's funny.
And I don't need it on my conscience causing car accidents out there on the road. So,
well, outside of business, in church, I work with a lot of younger kids. I teach music to really small children, and I noticed when my beard's longer, they can't read my lips as well, and so they don't learn as well. They can't understand me as well. So after I started working with kids is when I started trimming my beard really short, where I used to have it, like an inch and a half, 2 inches sometimes, like the farthest. One time I had it down here, but yeah, when you're working with kids, I don't know, there's something about it, like they can't see my lips.
Even outside of that, I talk to a lot of people on a daily basis, right? You've seen I go in and when you have that big thick beard, even though, with perfect hearing, you don't realize how often you do actually
read people's lips.
Yeah. And so, even though you're hearing it clearly, you feel like, anyway. So yeah, I'm with you outside of kids. It's funny, man. So trimming my beard was part of it. I'm going to be talking to people on a regular basis for them to fully understand what I'm saying. Yeah. To have that visual helps as well. So it's a weird thing.
Anyways, on to the important stuff. Glass. Leave it open right there. Glass.
Auto glass. Let's
how did you
be
get
specific.
into glass? How did you even start doing glass?
Dude, I'll tell you. So I've been doing this for a very long time, and it is very rare to find somebody in auto glass that was like, this was a family thing, or this was something I wanted to do, right? Like it's a trade. It absolutely is a trade. But you're not ever going to find it in any trade school curriculum. You're not going to even find it. I mean, my brother went to school for 2 years to be a mechanic, and it wasn't even a topic that was ever even touched. It was the auto glass, right? So it's very rare. To this day, everybody I know in auto glass either fell into auto glass, it was just by stupid chance, or it was
the family
something that a buddy
business
brought into them. Yeah, right. And so for me, though, it was a little different story. I still kind of fell into it. I was 17 and I needed work, and I done backyard mechanics. I mean, I made a lot of money, from the time I was 14 to 17 doing audio stuff in people's cars. So I had accounts with different suppliers for audio stuff, but I knew how to read schematics, the electrical schematics in these cars. I had these books because back then, we had to do
what are you talking about?
We had to do things the hard way, and I had to read. And my father was always a backyard mechanic and always working on cars, and so he always had these books. And the one thing that my father could never get down was electrical stuff. So I was like, so kind of out of spite, I was like, I'm going to do something better than him. So I learned the schematics. So I learned how to wire in cars and do wire harnessing and stuff. And I just started doing it for some of my friends, and then word spread. And then next thing I know, people's calling me. So I like I said, I had accounts set up with some sound warehouses, and
wow.
I would tell these people, this is what you need if based on what you need, what you're asking in your car. Anyways, so I had a background in automotive, right? Nothing certified, but I was 17, and there was a little glass shop in Linden, down at the bottom of Linden Hill, which most people don't remember. It was called Glass Savers. They had a sign up that they were hiring, and
Glass Saber or
Glass
Savers?
Savers, which you would think by the title it would click with me, but I walked up, I just saw the sign, I was like, maybe that, but I saw a guy in there with a Corvette, working on this Corvette, and I wasn't quite sure, he hadn't done any glass or anything. I was like, this might be a job that it's mechanics, obviously, it's automotive at least. So I went in and I applied, and it was right after my 17th birthday. And I interviewed with the owner at that moment, and he goes, we do the interview, and he says, well, I've got 6 or 7 other applicants coming in. He's like, why would I hire you over them? Because according to their resumes, they actually have experience. I said, I don't know. I have no experience. I'm just a young kid. I know the automotive world. I'm here to learn whatever it is that you guys do here. So we did a quick introduction with his shop and stuff. I left. He told me you have to be 18 to work here. So I told him, yeah, I'm 18, right? But when I was 16, I looked like I was 25.
Yeah.
Right? So
You got one of those faces.
yeah, exactly. One of those faces.
When you're 6'5".
And 6'5", it definitely helps. Which is funny. So he calls me 2 days later. He says, hey, I want to hire you. This was on a Friday. He says, when can you start? And I said, I'll be there Monday. So I go in Monday and I'm just doing the greet, and I'm realizing very quickly that, and he explains to me it's auto glass. Obviously I have no experience in auto glass. I told him I know cars. I've done that. But I'm in there. I've never seen tools like this in my life. Like, when you think automotive, you think wrenches, you think, ratchets, you think, lug nuts, right?
You think oil spills,
right? I'm walking in there and it's sharp tools. Like they're knives. Like these are things like sharp tools that you're applying to people's cars because windshields are glued in, which it's all glued in other than door glass, right? But like your windshield and your back glass, they're glued in. It's all chemicals. So these are like tools with pointy edges, with blades on them. I mean, razor blades. So it's a whole different world outside. It's a whole different world from the automotive world, man. I'm telling you.
It's more like surgery.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to be very precise. I mean, if you're taking a razor blade to somebody's car that's freshly painted.
Especially that Corvette.
Yes, especially Corvette, dude. And I've done a lot of them. It's very nerve-wracking, right? So anyways, I go through it and he, and it's funny because he came out and this is what he told me. So we're talking. He's like, what do you feel? I said, this will be great. I can pick this up easy. And he goes, you know why I hired you? I said, no, you told me I had no experience. And he said, because you're tall. And I didn't realize what he meant at that time. I was like, okay,
6'5" and perks.
Yep. And he's like, I just landed a contract to do all the windshields for Watch Trucking American Fork. And at the time, Watch Trucking was a much smaller place. But you go out to their lot, and I mean, still to this day, all their trucks out there are just big and lifted. And he said, my guys have a hard time getting up in those trucks and setting those windshields. And I did 2 weeks of training, man. That was it. And they put me in a truck with tools, and I'll tell you, there was a lot of mistakes made. So it was a lot of error, and it was a very frustrating trying to learn the job, man. When you get like I said, when the windshield's glued in, it's a urethane, and that stuff gets on you and it doesn't come off. It is a mess. It gets everywhere. It's just, so there was a lot, man. 2 weeks training was not much. I mean, at all. I mean, on average, you're training a guy for about a year to do this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I went, and a lot of guys at my time, because there was no other way of learning than on the hand or on the job, hands-on type of stuff. I mean, it was, you had a lot of angry customers and a lot of damaged cars back in my days, and even before that, a lot of guys were 2 weeks, they needed out there doing glass. So anyways, that's how I got started, man. And I didn't, I never thought that I was going to stay in auto glass. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It just, I kind of loved it. I knew, I was also, and at that time too, auto glass had their on season, their off season. And so I would work construction in the off season. So, you'd get laid off from auto glass, come the especially being the new guy. So I kept working with these little companies, and they kept getting bought out by the bigger companies, and then got bought out by the bigger one until eventually I was working for one of the big guys, and moved a couple states for a couple of the big ones too. So,
Dang.
But it more so became, with all my life plans, I became a single father. And one thing that was more important was providing for, my daughter, and it was going to be in her and I for a little while. And auto glass, I'd been with it for so long that no matter what, whether off seasons or not, it was always just stable work. So I threw everything I had into it. And when you get into auto glass, it's funny. I tell people this, that one of the things I did to really train in auto glass was the Auto Glass Olympics. And people are like, what's the,
Isn't that a real thing?
It is a real thing, my friend.
What?
It is a real thing. So, as a bigger companies, it's choice if you want to put your employees into it or whatnot. But I was working for a glass company, and they came to me and said, we're doing the Auto Glass Olympics. And so what they do is internally, a lot of companies, and it kind of goes with them all. Internally, they break it down by state, then by region, and then by nationals. And if you win that internally in your business, they would send you to the nationals the nationals with all these glass companies. So guys from all around the world would come and do auto glass, dude. And it was insane. And it was a point system. They started you at the top tier points, and then every time you missed something or didn't do something, they would deduct points. And it was a 3-day thing. And so So if you went to nationals, it was, a day of just windshield replacements and then windshield removal and reinstall and then door glass removal and reinstall and door glass regulators and then back glass removal, reinstall, things like that. And so, and it's a training, dude. Like they had guys in each business that were specifically there to train technicians who wanted to do the Auto Glass Olympics. And so
wow.
I did everything I could to prepare for the Auto Glass Olympics. And I learned everything I could possibly learn there. But I took every job in Auto Glass too, because I knew this was it. This was going to be my career choice. I learned to love it doing that. And so I took jobs in doing inside sales to working in the office. Because that's the funny thing I still notice in this industry. Every windshield has a part number. But you can be an Auto Glass technician of 30 years and not know what a part number is. You learn that sitting behind a computer and ordering those parts and doing those inside sales. So I took that job. I did that for a couple of years just so that I knew, so when I was out in the field and guys would ask, what windshield goes in this, and I could just rattle off part numbers.
The parts.
So it just became something that, if you're going to do something, do it full heartedly or not at all. Right. And so
never half-ass something that you can full ass.
Yes. yes. Especially when you're big. Yes. Just haul it, man. Yeah. You're going to work for it either way. So you might as well just do it full ass. Yep.
Yeah. Might as well.
Yep. So, and there's a lot about the industry, man, but yeah, the Auto Glass Olympics, that was one that I really started training for. And I ended up working for Safe Light for a while. And I was actually their favorite to win it the year I was with Safe Light.
Wow.
But Safe Light, dude, they're pretty crazy with it. They do their internal, the same thing, but they don't compete with any other glass company. Safelite, obviously, as large as they are, and they're owned by Belron in Europe. So they're a worldwide, right? Mm-hmm. And so they hold theirs, internally, and you compete only with Safelite, all the way to the national level. But if you win nationals, they actually would fly you out to their European shops, and you'd compete worldwide.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, you were the favorite to win it. What happened? Oh, you're not with Safelite anymore.
No, yeah, we'll put it there. Yeah, I'm not with Safelite anymore. I moved on. So,
wow.
Yep.
That's so cool. And now you've got your own thing. And Royalty Auto Glass is great. I'm always telling, like, I'm supposed to, not supposed to. It's better as an insurance agent to usually refer a few people, right? Like when someone calls me and they ask for life insurance. Yep. I just say, hey, here's 2 or 3 people I trust. Interview them all, do what you will. We don't do that with glass. No. We just say, call Andrew. He's your guy.
Well, and it's funny because not that it's easier with health insurance, right? But you're not just trusting us to have customer service, right? And to answer our phones. You're trusting us with second largest investment that people's going to buy in their life, right?
Yeah.
And so, which is funny because it's almost like you guys care more about that than the customers, man, because the standard is, and I can't tell you how often I hear it, when I'm talking to customers, like, as long as it doesn't leak, I don't care. Or as long as it doesn't leak and it looks good, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's fine. Any glass company can do that. But again, like I told you, that's glued in, there's chemicals, there's all sorts of stuff that goes into it that makes a difference, especially if you're a glass guy that's going to be redoing that job again, because we know glass. It doesn't matter. I don't care what type of glass you put in your vehicle. We live in a state, you catch a rock at 75 miles an hour, it's going to be done.
It's going to crack, yeah.
So doing it the right way isn't just for the customer, but it's also for the guy, behind me that's going to come through and do that glass, because something that I look at is going to be like, oh yeah, I can do this in a half hour. Depending on how the guy did it before, I could be there an hour and a half. And when a customer has a time expectation and we fail to do that, we look like morons, right?
Yeah.
So doing the job right all the way around. But anyways, so you guys, referring the customer to us, you're trusting us to not only keep the customer service at optimal, service, but you're also trusting us with your customer's car, because if something goes wrong on their car, you know how devastating that can be too.
Yes.
And again, you guys as insurance agents, when you're referring it to us, it doesn't matter how good or how bad we do. They're calling you guys when they have any other questions about it. I can't, customers, and we try to avoid that, call us, if you have any questions or anything, but you guys don't want to have to, you just want to know it's taken care of. So, and know that their cars are going to be safe. And so us being your guys, when we can prove that to you, as long as, again, we were talking about this when we sat down for almost over 4 years. When I've proven to you guys, it's an easy decision. Send it over to Royalty. We're going to treat it right.
Absolutely. And I even tell other insurance agents, you need to talk to Royalty. If you don't have this guy in your back pocket, you're going to save yourself a lot of headache. What's funny is sometimes, right, when clients have a bad experience, they call me
Right.
and they say, oh, this is annoying, or oh, this isn't going well. It happens more often with home claims or auto body shops when a repair is taking longer than they want it to. I mean, like, I've had auto claims where I'm in a rental car for 6 weeks because they keep ordering the wrong door from the person who smashed the backside of my car. And I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me. Like, how hard is it to order the right door? It's a 2015 Prius. Like, there's not very many doors for 2015 Prius.
I will tell you, okay, take it easy on these body guys, because I will tell you,
they're doing a lot of work.
I will tell you how often we have ordered parts from the dealer
and they send you the wrong part.
They sent us pictures and schematics of exactly what we're asking for,
but not the thing itself.
And then we tell them exactly this is what we need, and then we get the wrong part. I'm like, I don't understand how that happens.
Oh my gosh.
So really, when it comes to ordering parts, just so you know, more times than not, the body shops and the glass guys, there's a simulator there. We're just the messengers. We're doing the best we can, and sometimes we just get what's sent to us. So so
give them some grace.
for all those people out there, just keep that in mind.
The point is when what is the point? I tell some people call me and they're having complaints about something that's gone wrong. Right. I've had exactly one person ever have a problem with you guys, and it was the stupidest reason ever. They would have been offended by anyone. It's like, really, you didn't like the way he smiled at you or whatever the stupid thing they were. They didn't like the interaction or whatever. But I've had people call me to just be like, wow, Andrew was great. Wow, his team was great. Oh my gosh, they were so. I'm like, that's weird for me. Like when I refer someone for life insurance or health insurance or whatever it is, or commercial auto, like if there's a commercial policy I don't do and I refer it to my buddy who only does commercial insurance, right? Like, I don't hear back from those people. I assume they're taken care of. Sometimes they'll reach out and say, hey, I didn't get a hold of so-and-so. Oops, I accidentally gave you the wrong number. Like, that's the sort of thing. But I have people that call me and they're like, working with Andrew was great. I'm like, this is weird. But everyone, like, it's crazy how many people have called me. They're just like, Andrew's great. The funny situation, and this is not normal. Okay. I called Andrew one time because a client called and was like, hey, I'm going out of state tomorrow. Is there any way to get my windshield fixed? I've got a couple of rock chips. I don't know if it was a full replacement or just a bunch of rock chips. I can't remember. It was a couple years ago. Is there any way I can do this today? And I'm like, I have no idea. I'm just an insurance agent. Call Andrew. Here's his number. And then 5 minutes later, you called me and you're like, hey, I'm in so-and-so's driveway fixing their car. I'm like, what? It's like, oh, I happened to be in Saratoga Springs at the time and I didn't have another appointment immediately. So they called me and I was able to go right to their house in 2 minutes. I'm like, obviously that's not the norm. Andrew's not going to be at your house in 5 minutes of you calling him. But I was like, wow, how amazing is that?
And I'll tell you, it gets harder, and
as you've grown.
And this even, doing outside sales for the glass company I was with, I love that part about the job, man. Especially coming out. I will tell you, you guys were a very welcoming office, and it was very easy to hit off with you guys. And that doesn't always mean anything, right? Like you guys can like me, but there really comes a trust, right? And I remember you telling me that some issues that you guys had with the previous glass companies. And so you were the first one in your office that gave me a shot and sent work over to me. I'm pretty sure in that first month, you sent me like 5 people.
Probably.
And when I came back and visited, you told me, I asked how things were going. I have no idea. You told me, right? And it kind of clicked something, and something there clicked for me, right? And also, you guys being an insurance office, being an auto glass guy, right? You can't be successful in auto glass unless you're doing insurance work. And we already know that, the big guys kind of already cornered that market quite a bit. And in fact,
it's so annoying. I hate it. So I have a couple of my insurance companies are like, and there's nothing wrong with Safelite. I shouldn't probably mention by name in that. The point is, some companies will try to make you feel like you have to use a certain company that they have a relationship with. We're going
to, again, to keep from saying too many names, I'm going to just squash that now.
Okay.
It is illegal for any insurance company to tell anybody that they have to go to one place for a windshield replacement. It is always at the discretion of the customer, or auto body. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The problem that we run into is the auto glass shop is that our competitor. So for you guys being an insurance office, you guys write different companies.
Yeah, we have 25 companies.
25 companies that you guys write for. Every one of those, I am on their list to do glass, and it does. You have to hop through lists. So basically, if you think about like health insurance, right? I'm an in-network, right? And this, and don't quote me on this because this isn't exactly what I mean. If you're just thinking about it this way, it just kind of helps people to understand it. We're like an in-network. We jumped through a lot of hoops. We have to like send in all of our business stuff. We have to send in pictures of our vans, pictures of our building, to a specific insurance entity for them to say, okay, you are on the list. And then once we're on that, we're contracted with these insurance companies, with all of them. And these insurance companies, and granted that the cost of things have gone up, but we have no say in what the insurance companies are going to pay us for auto glass. So, and it doesn't matter what insurance company it is. So, but we jump through those hoops so that we can be on contracts. We're basically in network so that we as a glass company can actually make those phone calls and help customers through claims, right? But being on that contract, they say, for this 2015 Chevy Equinox, this is what we'll pay for this windshield. That's it. You guys have to meet that criteria to work with us, and that's contractual agreement. If we go outside of that, they tell us it falls on the customer, right? But because we're in contractual agreement, we never do. We stay within that. The customer pays the deductible. That's it, right? So that puts us on that list. So when we call, so we're allowed to make those calls and do those claims, help the customers. We know exactly what the price points are. We know exactly what the warranties are. We have to stand by those warranties that the insurance gives to their customers, being on that list, right? On the flip side of that, there's glass companies that do not jump through those hoops. They're basically, we would consider those like out of network. So if a customer does choose that, which they can absolutely choose, the freedoms that they have is if the insurance company says, we're going to pay $300 for this windshield, but he says, nope, I'm not on your guys' contract. I don't contract with you guys. I charge $450. If the insurance doesn't pay that $450, that's a cost that they can fall on the customer.
Oh,
right.
I did not know that.
And in a glass company, they reserve the right to do so. This is what we would pay. This is what we'd normally charge to have this windshield done, right? And that's a cost that can fall on the customer. And then the insurance comes along. Okay, well, if you use this insurance or if you use this glass company, you need to check their costs and make sure that they're not going to have any additional cost outside of, said deductible. Right. So the frustrating part is the big guy has a subsidiary company that they own that handles all the third party insurance claims for every single insurance company. And so they being an auto glass installer, as well as the third party that handles claims, they're financially affiliated because they're owned by them. But that's all this entity does. That's all they do is file the claims. They're the claim processing for every insurance you guys write for.
Yeah, because I have that happen where we have a lot of, over the last year or two, it's gotten to where when you file a claim, right, it'll be like press 1 for an auto claim, press 2 for a home claim, plus 3 for a roadside assistance, press 4 for auto glass. And when you press that number, instead of going to the insurance carrier, you go directly to that third party. You don't even talk to your insurance company. You don't talk to Bear River. You don't talk to, Safeco, they still handle it personally, but there's a lot of insurance companies that don't. And it's like the third party handles them.
Safeco uses them too.
Do they?
Often. I do a lot of Safeco. But it goes through them.
That's crazy. So they handle the filing the claims, and then of course
they handle the processing.
Use the...
And so that's why and as long as I've done this, and that's why to be competitive in that world, I know a lot of mom and pop auto glass shops that just will not work with insurance anymore because they've lost out. They've stole a lot of business, but they've had a lot of business stolen from them, and it's not cheap. I have 3 ladies that work in my office that's round the clock dealing with working with the insurance stuff on the front end and the back end of it, right? Wow. And a lot of mom and pop shops, especially when they're first starting, there's not a whole lot of capital to pay somebody to handle all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, even starting Royalty, we had no capital. So we started with nothing and we built it to what we were. But I had a great following. You guys being in office, I had a lot of insurance agents sign LOIs, said, dude, do this, and we're going to send people to you. We're going to send people to you
because it's such a good experience, and it's so easy and it's so stress free. Like I don't have to know all the intricacies of this. Like I'm learning this for the first time. I do. Yeah. I work with a professional. I refer people to a professional that I trust. I don't need to know all the details.
Yep.
It's cool to talk about them, but it's like, I don't care. Andrew's going to take care of it.
It's important for you as an insurance agent to know though, because as a broker anyways, because I've spoke with a few actually this last week. They said that they got emails stating that their customers have to go through this entity to get their windshield done. And it's
not lawful.
Share that it's not lawful. It's definitely not true. But it's misinterpreted, right? Because they share the same name, right? The first name is shared, but that's what they're meaning. Is like when your customer files a claim, it has to go through such and such.
Wow.
And which is true, but they still have the choice to choose any auto glass. And so these insurance agents are telling their customers, well, if you're with auto owners says that you have to go through, which they don't, but they say you have to go through them. And so customers automatically assume that they have to go to that auto glass replacement. No, that is not the case. That's steering without steering and very illegal. That, you know, and I will tell you, I had an insurance agent that we did a couple windshields for. She being an agent, she said, you know, she said, I want to get these done. I wanted for sure you use you. I said, great, let us help you do the insurance claim. And of course, the insurance agent says, no, I'll just get it done. I can do it really quick. It's here. I said, Kate, there's a number that you get at the end of those claims. That number ties you to that specific glass company.
The claim
right?
number.
Well, there's a claim number, but what they give us is a referral number, a dispatch. And so it's a 6-digit number. And that number, so if we have any issues with the claim or get anything processed or the customer, we can call and they can pull up that number and says, okay, this claim is tied to Royalty Auto Glass, or this is tied to Joe Schmo's Auto Glass,
I
right?
see.
And so getting that number and getting it tied to us is important. And so when it's filed like online, like insurance agents can do it. And you can go to any insurance that you sell through and you can actually find us. We are on that list. You just got to put what information to put in and we can come up and you could file the claim and it would tie it to us. And then we automatically get an email and a notification from that insurance, which is also another telltale sign that we are a preferred user and can use, and we are in network.
You can get an email.
Yes, because we can get an email directly from them if you were to file it. But that doesn't always happen. They don't, you know. And so she did that. She filed it, but she never tied the claim. And I told her, and I said, or at least once you're done, at least call me with that number, and I can call and get it tied to us. She never did that. 3 days later, she called me and said, hey, are you affiliated with this glass company? I said, no, I'm not. I was like, let me guess, you didn't tie it to my company. And she's like, well, I didn't see a place to do that, which there is. And I said, no, I understand. She's like, and I was like, but why? Well, wait, why are you asking me if we're tied to them? And she said, well, I've had 3 different shops now call me and ask me when I'm coming to get my windshields done with them.
Oh my gosh.
And so what happened? She filed the claim through the claims processor, and then they just automatically submitted her claim to the closest, based on her address to the 3, you know, shops that was closest to her that were all under that umbrella company.
I see.
And so that's where a lot of these mom and pop shops miss out on jobs. If a customer comes in and says, I want to use you guys, I want to use my insurance. Great. You got to file the claim, make sure you tie it to us. And then they call in the claim and they call to such and such and they say, okay, great. Well, we've got this shop, and the customer's gone. It's just out.
See, and with me, I don't even tell people to call their insurance because a lot of people, it's annoying because you call your agent. Some of my carriers, I can start the claim, but it's not even filing the claim. I start a claim and then they call you within 48 hours. I'm like, you don't want to wait 2 days to get this going. Or you do it online and it's similar. Or you call in, you have to go through a call tree and it's like, press 4 for this. And then you stay on hold for 5 minutes and you get to someone and it's this third party company or whoever they have processing it. And then they schedule and then they have someone call you later and all. I would just tell people, call Andrew. You go to them. You sometimes will call me. I need the VIN number for their car or whatever, right? And I'm like, that's fine. We can get it. Let me just ask Cheryl or whoever you're talking to. Hey, can I give them your VIN number? Cool. Whatever's going on, right? And then you guys deal with all of that, right? Like you said, you got the 3 ladies that do that, and it's like, yeah, they call the insurance company. They go through the third party. They get it tied to me, and then you as an insured, all you had to do was call Andrew, and then he showed up, and all that frustration went away.
It's a 10-minute inconvenience for the customers, dude. Yeah. And I know, like with insurance agents, and that's why I specifically asked for that information because we need all that information to call in the claim, right? Yep. And I know sometimes as an agent, you guys don't want to have to deal with it just as much as the customer doesn't want to have to deal with it, right? I know you guys want to provide customer service, but filing the claim and stuff, it does require information. And so that's why I make it clear. You know, if I have all that, my job is to make your guys' job as easy as possible when it comes to auto glass stuff, right?
And you do.
I don't want you guys to have to do the claim. I don't want you guys to have to answer questions. I mean, because you guys don't know glass either, because that also comes up with follow-up questions about, well, my car has this, this, and this. You guys aren't going to know about that.
I have eyesight and lane departure, and is that covered? What about the recalibration? And I've learned a lot of the answers to that, but I don't care to know it. I want to say, talk to Andrew. He will take care of all of it.
And that's what I make it clear with my customers. You know, it's call me. I can answer all those questions. They know exactly what they're going into, and then my ladies take it from there with them, and they get the claim. It takes 10 minutes, right? Yeah. And so, but having all that information up front makes your guys' job easier. Just copy paste, send me that over. Your guys' job is done, and then I reach out. I'll make that contact with your customer, and I answer all those questions because there are always questions, especially now with all the technologies, the safety features, and ADAS and recalibration, and
antennas built into their windshields, and
it's funny because it really does. that always brings up the question, was my insurance going to cover my safety features? Yes, it does. It's covered. It's in the contract. The insurance companies, it's a liability if it's not recalibrated. If you go through insurance, we have to make sure it's recalibrated before we can turn your car back over.
See, I think the only thing that insurance companies generally don't cover on windshields is tint.
Nope. They do not cover that tint visor.
Yep, the tint visor. And that's about the only thing. If you happen to have that. Most people don't.
It's funny. It's funny how it's become such a more common thing. Like I don't know. I'm 6'5" though, man. So back when I started auto glass, it was very common that windshields were built with a blue shade across the top. Yeah, they called it a sunshade, right? But I was being as tall as I am. Every time in any vehicle I was in, I'm always looking through blue. Like I don't want to look at the blue. I'm good. I'm so glad that kind of went by the wayside because manufacturers don't even sell that anymore. I mean, you can't get that on a brand new vehicle anymore. And I think a big part of it is because of those safety features. You put a camera on there, you don't want to be the reason that camera malfunctions anyway in any capacity. So I think that's why I've started seeing more of those tint visors, which is funny, that we're seeing it more, but the windshields just aren't manufactured with those extra sun visors anymore. And so people get those tint visors. And so, which is it's funny that you bring that up. That was another. That was one of the big things I ran into, right? So coming into you guys and being an outside sales guy and being an account manager and trying to come in and tell you guys we're the best, we do this and this. One, I realized that we do everything that I can do everything any other glass company can. They can come in and tell you the same things. We'll process a claim, or we can do this, or we can do this, right? But on top of that, you guys see a lot of restoration companies, you guys see a lot of body shop guys, you guys see a lot of home building guys, right? Whatever, roofing guys. And there was a few times I step into an office and there's a bunch of those other company type guys there, and they're all saying the same thing. This is why you should use this. This is why we're best. And I realized that, the one thing that separates those if you're in that industry, whether it's restoration or auto glass or auto body, the one thing that separates you from your competition, because we're in 2025. They've been competing for a very long time. You know what I mean? When somebody, because I would love to be left alone in the dark with a ball peen hammer with a guy that decided to do auto glass on the road. It sucks. But we do it because we got to be competitive, right? Yeah. So telling somebody now, oh, great. So can, any other of my competitors, they can come out to your house, right? But the one thing I noticed that separates was customer service. And that customer service can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Whether it's answering a phone call, you're answering on the customer calls and we're answering on that first time. Or it could be we're the first one to respond to a missed phone call, or we're the first one to get them a quote, or we are ones that's gonna, if an issue went wrong, or if an issue happened and something went wrong, that we're going to be that company that's going to get it taken care of right away. We're like, whatever that is, those all sorts of things. So I started actually asking some insurance agents, what can I do for you guys? What can I do to make this better experience for you and for your customers? And it's funny, the number one thing was our customers need to talk to real people. Yep. And so I made a list of that stuff. Real people. Our customers need to talk to real people. We want to be able to call and talk to somebody when something happens. We don't want to call a call center. We don't want to talk to multiple people, because calling one person is one thing. That's great. We got to talk to them, but then you may never talk to that person again. And then you're re-explaining an entire situation to somebody else.
And it's so frustrating.
Very, very
it's
frustrating.
Painful.
And then, guys showing up on time, showing up within those time frames, or letting the customers know. So when we started Royalty, that was a big thing. Eliminating issues with customers, right? There's nothing I can do. There's human error. Things are going to happen. But I did it. I was installing for as long as I did. One thing I realized, even in my young days, man, when I was at my prime and I could do everything, I was working for these companies that expected us to do between 8 and 15 jobs a day. Wow. That's a lot of work. I don't care what type of person you are. That's a lot of work. And not to mention, when you're out on the road, you got drive time, right? And you're trying to get through 15 jobs. A multitude of things are going to happen. One is a guarantee that's going to happen. I'm going to have at least 30% return rate on my day's work. At least 30, dude. Wow. I'm telling you. I'm a big guy too, right? Small guys, it doesn't matter. You're exhausted because you're doing all of that work by yourself out of a van, right? You're going to have customers coming back. It's just going to happen. And no matter how much I tried to prevent it, I'm always going to have a warranty rate, right? And so that's a customer service issue for the customer, right? If they have to come back and have something fixed on something I did, sometimes it doesn't matter. It's only that one time and you are the worst person on the planet to them,
Yeah.
right? And there's nothing you can do. They're back at your shop and they've had to deal with this a second time, right? And I'm glad to say that's not a very often occurrence. More times than not, people are very understanding, especially when you're on top of your customer service and they called and they get to talk to the person that they've dealt with the whole time, which makes all the difference to them.
It feels like accountability.
Yes.
Because it's not like I talked to 6 different people about this and I have to re-explain why I'm upset and what's going on, where, hey, if I'm calling every single time, and Raven works for you, and like every single time I've called, I've got to talk to Raven.
Yeah.
They know your situation. That's we found out insurance too, right? When you're talking about like being the quickest person on the job, about 70 to 80% of people switching their auto and home insurance, they call multiple agents. We have the most informed, they're willing to shop around. 70 to 80% of those people go with the first person that gets back with them with a cheaper price, right? Than whatever they're currently paying for auto and home insurance. It's like, I don't care. I'm paying this much a month. The first person that gets back to me that has a lower price than that, that's who I go with. 70 to 80% of them. Well,
and switching over insurance is a lot of work too.
Yeah, you have to cancel forms and you have to call your old company. And I used to be able to submit Accord forms to cancel your old insurance, just have you sign a form or e-sign it and send it. I have companies that are just ignoring them. And I'm like, this is a legal, like this is the Accord legal standard. And you're just, oh, I didn't process that for a month, or, oh, I just didn't process it at all. We require that we have to talk to our client to cancel. And it's like, that's not the legal requirement. You have to accept this. I mean, they just don't.
Well, and you being in customer service with that, like I said, I'm with you, dude. If I'm going to send stuff over to an insurance agent and I'm going to check it with multiple places, I'm usually going to go with the first one because I don't want to have to deal with it beyond that, right? That's most people's take when it comes to insurance, especially switching, right?
Making it easy, quick, right? Our goal is every quote within 24 hours, getting turnaround time. Taking longer than that, people are going to go someone else.
Yep, they will, which is funny because going with the cheapest, the first one that got back to you, that's still a gamble, even with insurance, dude. How many times, I won't go into too many stories, but I have ran into, I do work very closely with insurance, and I can't tell you how often I've ran into customers who had just recently switched or been with this insurance agent because because of these same reasons and these things. But on the back end, now they're here to get a windshield replaced. I had a customer that didn't know she was void of insurance for a year. No idea.
Oh my gosh.
She had no idea that she did. And stupid mistakes like that. So there has to be a trust that comes with it, like any industry, right? And one thing that I learned, we are always the quickest on the ball back, right? But I will never compete to be the cheapest. I just will not do it. I have found exactly the sweet spot in auto glass. I'm going to make it absolutely fair to my customer and fair to my technicians, right?
Yep.
And so pricing, it's just something I'm not going to haggle with. I'm going to do the best job. So kind of going back to what I was saying, I going out with one guy and a technician, and you see one guy come out and doing your windshield. People are usually blown away. And I've worked with companies that, you've seen the commercials where, guys setting a windshield into a vehicle and there's an arm on the other side that's helps it. And I've used those things. They are brutal to use because it takes so much more time to set up. When you're in a time crunch and you got customers expecting you, these companies are telling you, we need you to do 12 jobs today. Well, I'm not going to get through 12 jobs and set up a mechanical arm on because it takes some measurements. And don't get me wrong, you can get to a process down and get it pretty quick, but you're spending 15 minutes to set that up minimum. And then once you do have it set up, you don't even know if it's going to be perfect. And sometimes there's reset up, even if you think you got it perfect the first time.
Oh, okay.
So there's still all those things as that guy, right? And so that was customer service issue number one that I wanted to address when I started Royalty.
Was speed.
Was no, to take it easy on my technicians. To have the understanding that it is a requirement, and the best way I could do that, and I preach this to a lot of glass companies I worked for, and I will tell you they're not wrong. And when I preach this, they're like, nope, that cost up front does not make any sense. That's way too much money. We can't do that. They weren't wrong. It is very expensive, but I have more than saved on what I did on the back end, and that is I do it in teams, 2 guys on every job. So when you send those customers to me, that just eliminates that one of the bigger portions of customer service.
Well, and I bet that 30% return rate, like you mentioned, I didn't even realize it was that common because I've only had 2 windshields. I haven't had a problem with either of them. I haven't had to replace or anything like that.
But also, you drive a Toyota, like you said, that Prius. I can do that Prius all day by myself. I can lift that thing. I can reach all the way across and set it in, right? But you get into things because we do a lot of Teslas. I've seen guys set Teslas by themselves. It is not an easy task. You more times than not, you're going to have issues with leaking in Teslas.
Especially if it's like a Model Y where it's one piece or 2 pieces of glass for the entire car. And you're like, oh, this is a 9.5 foot long piece of glass. How am I going to set this by myself?
And I will tell you, having my 2-guy system, again, does cost much upfront, but out of 1,000 windshields, we had 1 come back.
Yeah, right. But better than 30% coming back.
Yep.
And that makes all the difference to the customers. That's making all the difference to me, knowing, right? Because I've had that where it's like customers are calling me complaining. It's like, man, I've had 3 problems with my windshield that your guy did. And it's like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have to think about this.
Yep.
And that is why we've continued to use you for 4 years now, or however long. I thought it was only like 2, but 4 years. That's because it's so good. I don't even have to think about it, right? Like I don't have to think about glass because I just tell people, call Andrew, and then I never have to worry about it unless they're calling me back to be like, Andrew's team was so awesome. Like I have never had someone I've referred someone to in any industry where I have so many people call me back to just be like, that guy was great. His team was, I'm like, it's weird, man.
Which is awesome.
Which is why I only have one referral.
Which honestly, as much as I love to say that that's credit for how well we've done, but that's more to the credit of how
the systems you've built,
the systems, but how much better the industry could have been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
I think that's more of that more says of like how we could have been doing better this whole time across the board as an auto glass company. And don't get me wrong, we're a for-profit business.
Yeah, of course.
But
you make money. You do good, get good.
Yep, exactly. You do good, you get good. I like that. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And so, yeah, so going forward, we have procedures in place that as we grow, it will be 2 guys to every single van, because 2 guys to a van, obviously they can go out and do 8 jobs between 2, because 8 jobs with even 2 guys is a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
But when you have 2 guys, not to mention, again, I told you there's no training for this, right? So I'm getting sent out to do a brand new windshield on a Range Rover. I mean, that windshield I'm carrying, our cost was $1,300 just for the windshield. That's a nerve-wracking job to go do on a brand new something that I've never seen before. That it's not like Range Rover sent us down a handbook and told us what to expect in the newest models, right? We're learning by going and doing it. Yeah. And so you're sending out technicians that's been doing it with somebody newer, and then, to figure out these jobs. And so even a guy that's done as long as I have, and I've done hundreds and thousands of Range Rovers, but when I started Royalty, we did a brand new Range Rover. I'd never done one before. And I was working with a guy. That's how we started. We're doing this together. We went out there and we're just evaluating how we're going to do this job. And between the 2 of us, it went perfect. Wow. Because he had automotive experience. He said, hey, I know how to pull these apart on the outside of this, because there is a lot of tear down on cars that people don't understand. It's not like you're just going, I mean, there's plastic side moldings, there's rubber side moldings, the windshield wipers, the plastic cowl along the bottom's got to come off on Range Rovers. The whole inside A pillars have to come off on those things. And so you're pulling cars apart in people's driveways, right? And so knowing what you're doing makes, and even if you don't, having the 2 guys.
You don't have an instruction manual.
Yep. You don't have the instruction manual. So having the 2 guys, it was nice. I'm looking at my guys, he said, hey, I know how to pull off these moldings. Pulled them off. And so being able to bounce those things off each other, it makes it safer for my technicians. It makes it safer for my customers' vehicles. And that's on that end of it. That was one customer service that I could not get any other glass company on board for. And I get it. It's expensive.
Makes sense. 2 people versus 1. That's twice the price right there for cost for you guys. But if it lowers that rate, that just seems like a no-brainer. But obviously it's because it's worked so well for you.
But think about that too. If you got 10 technicians, dude, that 30% rate is devastating. It's as the owner of Royalty, it's weird that's because it was such a big part when I was working with these other glass companies. It was a big part of our reports was our warranty rate. It's crazy how the warranty report hasn't been a thing with Royalty because it's not a number that affects our numbers.
Yeah.
Where every glass company I've been with, it is because you got 10 guys going out trying to do, 8 to 15 jobs. All of them guys are now having issues with those cars. Yes, you made your money up front initially. Great. You paid for that guy's wage that day. But the second a car comes back,
you've lost
more time
money.
Than not, you're now in the hole. You're just in the hole. The margins in auto glass are not that great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why working, having established relationships with insurance does help. Insurance is what,
it's so normal, right? Right. Like the most common things people are calling me about to make sure they've got covered. Like it's becoming more common to do $1,000 deductible instead of 500. So people are like, can I do 1,000? Should I do 500? Right. Or whatever it is. But the 2 things people are always asking me about is glass coverage. Like, is there an option for a $0 glass or a $50 glass deductible or a $200 glass? Because I've got a new Tesla and I had a friend who his was $2,300 to replace. And it's like, whoa, I don't want to pay that out of pocket if my windshield breaks, especially on Utah roads. So people are constantly asking me about glass coverage. The second one is rental reimbursement, but that's a whole different kind of word. But it's like the most common thing people are asking when it's just, hey, double checking my policy. Do I have glass coverage? Or they're calling me when you're in their driveway being like, do I have glass coverage? And it's like, no, you got $1,000 deductible.
Yep.
Crap. This windshield's $900. Yep, you're paying out of pocket on it.
It would be so beneficial for us glass companies if Utah would adapt what other states have. There's like, and I can't. Do not ask me to name the states. I'm not going to do it. I'll give you one, but I know Arizona does this, and you guys might know this. You know this working in insurance, but like Arizona, because it's so common for broken glass and especially windshields, that there's not a limit on windshields that people can do. So in Arizona, if you have full coverage on your car, you have unlimited windshield replacements. At zero cost.
So they require $0 glass as part of their standard full coverage policies.
So
interesting.
I know they just changed it. I mean, obviously, the biggest complaint people have with insurance right now is insurance rates going up.
Yes.
Which I'm surprised it's taken this long for Utah's. And don't get me wrong, I am not for the rates going up.
No.
At all. But
I see accidents every day driving from Spanish Fork to an American Fork. I'm just like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one.
And that's why I tell people, I'm surprised it's taken this long for the rates to go up in the state of Utah, just with population growth alone. Yeah. Right? I mean... But
more dense means more accidents. It just happens. When you have more people closer, you're more likely to get an accident. It's just how it works.
And and it could be worse. Like Colorado, for instance. I know they have in their laws that the insurance rates go up every year because of just weather, right? So
here's a weird thing because you're talking about like insurance norms for other states. This one is really, really weird, and you'll see that. So usually when you're replacing windshields, you're using OEM glass, which for the listener, right? Most cars are using OEM or some.
We'll come back to that. Continue.
Okay, cool. It's common or more common for many types of glass to have to be OEM based on the manufacturer, right? Like you can't get third party for certain types of specialty glass. I think most of them now do, but anyways, in some states, they legally require OEM parts for the entire vehicle. So if you get, right, like that accident I was in a couple of years back for my Prius, that door that was replaced on the back was a third party door. It wasn't an official Toyota part. Utah law doesn't require OEM, which is original. I don't know what it stands for, but
original equipment manufacturer.
Original equipment manufacturer. So in some states, they require you to go get an official Toyota replacement part for your Toyota. Utah doesn't. Most states don't require that. So part of the reason why it took so long is they didn't want to go order an official part from Toyota because it was more expensive. So they ordered replacements off of other damaged vehicles or totaled vehicles or whatever it was where that had a nice spec. Oh, it was the wrong one. Oh, they got it for the Toyota Prius C instead of the Prius 2 like you have. Oh, they ordered for the Prius 3, not the, right? So they ordered the wrong part from. So it's kind of interesting because that happens. Or, hey, but the states that require OEM parts, their insurance is more expensive.
And it is. So let's squash a few things here.
Yes, please do.
One.
Teach me.
So this is where auto body and glass really differentiates. Okay, this is the huge difference. In fact, most body shops, just throwing that out there, most body shops actually do hire third party glass company because doing glass is still even much more different beast than doing auto body. So there's a bunch of like most or all these auto body shops, unless they have a glass guy hired in house that does specifically glass, they all their third party stuff or all their glass goes to a third party. So does dealerships. Dealerships do not do in-house glass. Ken Garf has a body shop and a glass guy, so there's some that do have in-house glass guys, but unless they have an in-house glass guy, all dealerships are going to a third party to have their glass done. And they just bring this. So when it comes to body stuff, I'm for OEM glass or OEM parts. Of course I want the OEM parts put back on when it comes to body stuff. Yeah. It just fits, right? But I don't hold so to it. Okay, so OEM and the OEM glass is a nightmare for windshield companies, for auto glass companies. Getting an OEM windshield does cost quite a bit more. So I'm just going to throw a scenario. This just happened. We had a customer. She has a 2025 Lexus. This thing is brand new. Okay, it being brand new, that's more chance than not we're going to have to get the OEM glass. Because usually when they come out, and especially if they change it, because they take about a year to release any of their stuff for a third party to remanufacture, right? And so in her case, though, we had other options available, but this customer, she was absolutely dead set, had to be OEM. She's not going to do anything less, and it's a brand new Lexus. I get it, totally fine. You want the Lexus stamp put in there. So we ordered the glass, and because it's brand new, it's on back order. And on back order with us, so if you get any part at a dealership, there's tracking on it. So even if they order it, they can somewhat, even if it's on back order, can give some sort of tracking at some point. They don't track glass. There's no tracking number on glass. So even if they told us, yeah, we can get one from this state, it'll be here. Usually they give us a 10-day and there's no tracking on it. So in 10 days, if it's not there and we call them, hey, it's been 10 days, we haven't seen this glass.
And you're like, okay.
There's no tracking on it. They say, well, we'll let you know when it shows up.
Oh my gosh.
That is it, right? So, so the other thing is, so she wants this OEM. That's a cost that we, as a company, we have to front. We have to buy the glass from OEM. That glass, that windshield's $1,000 windshield. Okay. So we order it, and back order means it can be anywhere from a month to a year and a half out.
You have
That's
no
it.
idea.
We have no idea. The general rule is it's about 4 to 6 months is when we see it. Okay. That's usually when it comes in.
Oh my God.
4 to 6 months when glass is on a back order. This is very clearly explained.
Was it just like cracked, or was hers like fully broken, like she couldn't drive the car?
As far as I know, it was cracked, but I know that it's going to get progressively worse, right? And I understand that. But know that your windshield, though you need to get it replaced when it cracks, there is still integrity that's going to, that your windshield's just not going to collapse on you.
Yeah.
But I also get, when it gets worse and it starts impeding your vision, you need to get it done. But when you're staunch on getting a certain part for it, I can only do so much, right?
Yeah.
So this was back in August. So we filed her claim. We got the glass ordered. The windshield was $1,000. Okay. It cost us $1,000 to get that OEM windshield for her. We had other options, and we told her that we have other options, that we could get it done sooner because she was saying she wanted to hurry. But even after telling her the timeline, she has to have this OEM. Every month she called in and talked to one lady in my office, and every month it got more and more. She was more and more aggravated that she hadn't gotten her windshield done. And we're trying to explain to her there's nothing we could do. It's on back order. And it got to a point where she was like even yelling and this and that. And so we explained to her, well, we can get this. No, it has to be Lexus. Okay, well then we can't make this happen any quicker. There's just nothing we can do. So believe it or not, this actually happened this week. So we finally get the windshield in, and we call her, say, hey, we got your windshield in. We're ready to get you scheduled to get you on the schedule. She said, nope, I called my insurance agent. And she's like, I called my insurance agent and complained to them, and they just said, well, we don't know what to tell you. Go take it to their glass. And they gave me a number to a different glass company. I went to them. So she went to them, and guess what they did?
They gave a non-OEM part.
They gave her a
and she accepted it.
Nope. She is very unhappy about it. She paid her deductible. They put it in and told her that it was Lexus. It is not Lexus. Does not have the Lexus stamp in it. It is not OEM part. She's very upset. But now here's the twist. I now have this OEM part that I can't return, because most time when we buy OEM glass, there's no return policy.
Yeah.
Once it's in my shop, they won't take it back, or there's this or there's that. So I've got this $1,000 windshield just sitting in my shop that we paid for, that she refused. And she's like, I would love to come and get that windshield from you guys, but I won't do it until this other company refunds what they did, and they won't do it.
Going through insurance is.
Yep. But we're the only ones right now in the state of Utah that has that windshield. So that she wants,
So if you have a 2025 Lexus with a broken windshield, call Andrew.
Call me. We've got a windshield.
He needs to move this windshield.
No, but I'll tell you. So the hard part is with OEM. We will use OEM if customers ask for it.
Yeah.
But so here's the funny part. So that Lexus windshield, we actually buy glass directly from the manufacturer that manufactures Lexus. So I can actually go right now to Salt Lake, get that Lexus windshield from the manufacturer that made her windshield. The only difference between the two is that it doesn't have the Lexus.
Stamp.
Yes. I'm dead serious. And that's the thing where people get it mixed up. And don't get me wrong, there is aftermarket glass. There are brands of aftermarket glass that I will not use.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I will not deal with price. There's some brands I will not use. But OEM is really hard, even with insurance. So for instance, just another instance here, we did an OEM glass for a guy who absolutely wanted it, which was fine. But this is the other problem. Your guys' third-party insurance processors, they go off what's called a NAGS list price. And we won't get into that, but nobody else uses this NAG list price anymore. It's such an outdated thing that it doesn't make sense, and it costs us money every time. But this is how they still say they will pay us, that based on this NAGS list on these parts. So we did a job for this guy. The windshield, my cost on the windshield was $605. That's what I had to pay for the glass. The insurance would not budge. The absolute most that they paid for it was $602 because it's OEM. And so the margins when we get OEM glass from the dealers, and because of this nag list part, those margins can be negative or absolutely slim. So and then it's an upfront charge, and it's way more expensive to buy that. We don't get that much of a discount, if any at all, on OEM parts. And so we end up spending a lot of money on those OEM parts, even with insurance. Wow. And more times than not, it's not beneficial for us. We do it because if a customer is to go to another glass shop and do the same process, they're going to be hit with an additional charge. I just will not do that with my customers. We eat it, we move on. Wow. Because we do a lot, but that happens often. So one thing I always try stressing to my customers is, like, if you go to like the BMW dealership down here, go to their brand new BMWs. Okay, on their showroom floor, I'm talking they're very expensive, high-end BMWs, and look at their windshields. There's a logo in there, FYG. FYG is a China-based auto glass company. All of that, and that's where people are, I don't want that China stuff. Well, they actually have the contract for BMW. They have the contract for GM. They have the contract for a lot of these manufacturers that their logo's in there. So I can actually buy FYG glass from my suppliers that is technically OE.
It just doesn't have the stamp.
It just doesn't have the stamp, so it can't be OEM. OE is original equipment. It's the same quality, it's the same specs and everything. It's the exact same brand.
Same plant even. It's just, it's not the right manufacturer, because on this day they stamped them with Lexus, and this day they stamped them with... That's funny. Wow.
So that's the, and that's still obviously number. Am I getting a windshield that's going to crack? Am I one? Every single windshield, I don't care what brand you get, they all have federal regulations that come into the United States. They have the same thickness, the same strength, that coming in. And again, I don't care what piece of glass you put in your vehicle. If you catch a rock on the freeway at 80 miles an hour, when you're traveling at 80 and that rock's coming at you, I mean, take that to your forehead. It's going to split your forehead. So it blows me away when people surprise that, their windshield cracks or it chips when they get hit at something at that speed. Right.
Especially with some cars, because like there's some of these windshields that are like this instead of angled, and it's like, down. Dude, you can have a rock at 20 miles an hour. It's going to crack that windshield.
Yep.
One of my friends owns one of the new EV Hummers. And you replaced the glass on his like 3 times in the last year.
Now. We've done 3 times, and just
because it's this perfectly vertical piece of glass, and anything hits it, and it's just kaboom.
And honestly, and again, I'm not a physicist here. All right, I'm a glass guy. My education doesn't stretch much beyond that. So the only thing I can tell, because I get asked all the time, and what makes it so different now? People thinks, I think there's an aerodynamics, dude. Right back in the day, aerodynamics was, I think, really went into manufacturing cars because they're heavy. I mean, back in the day, they were much heavier. So you put aerodynamics, the wind bends around the car and pushes away from the car. Now the cars are super light. Aerodynamics, I don't think so much goes into it. I mean, you roll down the back windows on most of these new cars and you get that loud wobble sound. Yeah. So instead of the wind pushing around now, I feel more so not you get like that wind coming directly into your car now. And then, you add that to the force of, the speed of the rock and then the force of the wind behind it, instead of it blowing it off the windshield. I don't know. Makes
if you're a physicist, put a comment.
Yes, yeah. Please
tell me why windshields break more in Utah now.
So I don't know, but there's a lot, and I do. I mean, I had a you saw my Subaru Forester. I had a 2020 Subaru Forester.
Yeah.
And in the 4 years that I had it, I put 5 windshields in that thing. And the first 3 I put in was the actual Subaru glass. I had the insurance to do it. I put in the Subaru glass, and within 6 months, all 3 of those cracked. And within the first 6 months. So finally, I went to one of my suppliers that is an OE manufacturing supplier, and I put in their windshield, and it lasted it lasted a year, and then before I had to put another one in. So I don't know what the difference is as far as those things.
If you drive a Subaru Forester,
I'm sorry. Bring me for your windshields. We do a lot of
Corollas and Priuses, though. I feel like they done fine. My wife's had the same car for almost 2 years. We haven't replaced the windshield. She doesn't have rock chips. It's crazy. Where me, the Tesla, I replaced it. The Prius I had before that, I've replaced it, and I don't know, man.
I will tell you, Subarus I get a lot of. We see a lot of Volkswagens, a lot of Audis too. But you're right. I would honestly say if I'm really thinking about it, I don't see a whole lot of Corollas. We get maybe 1 or 2.
And Corollas are a very common car.
I know. they're aerodynamics, man. I'm telling
Corollas
you,
and Civics.
it's that
they're
round
built
hood.
to shield you from the wind, protect you. I'm just kidding.
It's that round hood. I don't know what it is. So
Wow.
anyway, so I mean, but as a glass guy, so you know, the really makes an aftermarket. The thickness and the strength is there. It really is. But every windshield has a sheet of plastic in the middle of it, right? And they heat they melt that plastic and sandwich.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what keeps it. That's why it cracks and spreads, because that's what a windshield's made out of. It's actually 2 sheets of glass with a sheet of plastic in the middle, and they melt that plastic and melt the glass together.
I didn't know that.
So that's where you even get distortions and stuff. If it's heated too fast or if it's cooled too fast, it will cause distortions. And sometimes the naked eye doesn't pick it up. Camera systems will now, which can make recalibration. But that's where you see differences. It's not necessarily, it's absolutely not the thickness and the strength. But as a glass guy, when you're using true aftermarket stuff, or even stuff that, that's just re-engineered, because, some of these manufacturers, they don't have a direct pipeline to these manufacturers. So they're reverse engineering these windshields and doing the best they can. And so you'll get these brackets now, because the more you get cameras and rain sensors and light sensors and things like that, they come with brackets on there. And so more times than not, you get an aftermarket where a bracket might be just 2 centimeters off. So a bracket won't go back on there, right? No. It doesn't fit right. And then you run into issues, or it's cut just a quarter of an inch all the way around too small, so it doesn't fit just right in the vehicle. Though that's where you get those differences. When you get those differences, obviously it can put different pressure points on the glass too, because it's not set in where technically it should be in the vehicle. So maybe when you hit the rock in that spot, it cracked all the way across, where maybe normally it wouldn't, if it was properly, at its length and size that it should have been where it sets. Because windshields, that's what they do. They set right on just a soft bead of urethane. It doesn't touch anywhere on the vehicle, despite what people think. It's just a bead of urethane that goes around it.
Wow.
And then it sets on that glue. That's where you see that tape. People are always wondering about the tape.
Yeah, the 2 blue lines of tape.
The 2 strips of tape. Just so everybody knows, it's because it's setting on brand new glue. So back in the day when I started, I keep saying back in the day, I'm not that old.
Back in my day when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Not that old. Urethane, took 7 to 8 hours to safety cure. So, you come into a shop, you get your windshield replaced, that glue is wet. And if you're moving, that windshield has, you run the risk of the windshield sliding down out of place while that glue's setting, right? So you throw 2 pieces of tape, holds it in place. Nowadays, we use urethane that's safety cured within a half hour. So we can put a windshield in, and the second it touches the urethane, you've got a half hour before that thing's safety cured and bonded to the urethane that it'll withstand airbag deployments or rollover accidents. God forbid that something like that was happen. But we still throw that tape on, let it set, especially when we're finishing things up, so a windshield doesn't, slide down out of place. Because it's got to be setting where it's got to be setting. Otherwise, it doesn't look good, and you could run into issues of leaking. So
that's cool. Well, sweet. Well, we are wrapping up, getting out of time. We could talk about this for forever. This is I love the way all this works. I love working with Andrew's team. They're great. I've been excited. This is one of my most exciting episodes in my opinion, but that's just because I've loved working with you for the last 4 years. So
you'd think at this point you'd be sick and tired of hearing about this, but anyways, I could do this all day. So wrapping up, people listening and they're like, oh yeah, I've got a rock chip right now. I need to get looked at, or my windshield's broken. How can people find Royalty Auto Glass and Andrew Reeve? You can find us on Google. We got Royalty Auto Glass on Google. Take you right to our shop. Otherwise, we're right there in Orem, 1382 West Center Street in Orem.
Yeah, right off Center Street.
Right off Center
My old
Street.
dance studio growing up when I was a kid literally is like on the other side of your office.
Is it really?
Like out your back door. Yeah, that wood shop that's right there used to be a dance studio.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
But it is funny. I use that wood shop all the time because it's amazing how hard it is to still find our place. But wood shop, if you see Timberline Woods, we're right behind
Timberline Woods.
on the strip mall. Sometimes the best thing you could do is call your insurance agent first, get your insurance stuff, and they refer you over to us.
Yep.
But
and if they don't, get a better agent.
Yes. Yes. Jacob.
That's great.
And I will tell you guys, dude, just because winter's coming up, it doesn't mean it's a bad time to replace your windshield. Winter is, honestly, I get that all the time, is that, I don't want to do it in the winter. It's not a good time. Winter is usually one of the best times to replace your windshield because you're not driving your vehicle as much as you normally would be. And two, the weather just, cold temperatures doesn't make any difference on it, but you're not driving it as much. And let's be honest, you're not traveling as much. You're at home more often. So don't let winter be the reason you don't get a windshield replaced. Awesome. But if you got a rock chip, come get the rock chip done. And I'll leave you guys with this. We've got new products that we're going to be throwing out for weather protection on these windshields for customers are getting your windshield replaced with us. We'll do a weather protection guard.
Oh, cool.
Just to get it done on your windshield. That you got to try it out. It's awesome stuff. Another promotion. So yep, come by and see us or find us on Google. It takes you right to my office. And yeah, we'll
Awesome. Or obviously, if you're my client, just hit me up when you need a windshield done, and I'll tell you, I always say Andrew, so it's great. Well, awesome. Well, yeah. Any, I don't know, leave it open ended. Any questions you have about insurance or anything for me? If not, I think we're fine to end it.
No, Jacob, I love you guys' office. I think you guys do amazing work. One thing I will say about your office, it's not a question, is that I do work with a lot of offices, and there are a few that I get this from, and your guys is one of them. It says I get a lot of calls from customers that says they're referred by their agent. And I would say 60 to 70% of the time we get those calls, customers say, I don't know who my agent is. But whenever I get a call from the customer that you guys referred, they know exactly it was Jacob Johnson, or it was Aaron Hill. You know, it was Tyler over at Rob Jackson's office. So if that says anything to you guys, that's actually huge. I actually love it. Those are the insurance offices I love to work with. Those are the people I love to work with, because when a customer can call me, it's like I said, when it doesn't happen, but only with a few, that tells me that you guys are doing something right. So
thank you.
That's customer service.
Sweet. Thanks. If you guys have any questions about glass, if you know about the thermo and aerodynamics of rock chips, please leave us a comment. And yeah, we're excited thanks for joining us in this episode. Sweet.
Yeah.